Hello, Forge fans. It's the Forge Audio Network. I'm Anthony Urciuoli. It is the match in review, and I'm your digital host, Forge FC, back in the win column, getting 3 points against their rivals on the road against York United at York Lions Stadium. Forge FC with a 2-0 win. Tristan Borges opened the scoring, although we still have to get clarification on whether it will be determined it was an own goal or not. There was a deflection. If it ends up being Borges' goal, it'll be depending where you look, credit's being given differently here. But Borges, that would be his 6th of the season, the club's all-time leading scorer, getting back on the score sheet. Woobens Pacius then scoring in the 77th minute, and that really sealed the deal. And that's when things got chippy between these two rivals. I've commented at different points this year that the rivalry between York and Forge hasn't quite been there, at least maybe not what we thought it might be when York and Forge played the first ever match in the CPL. But the 905 Derby lived up to the hype in this one. Forge with a win, and both clubs, I'm still glancing back at my television here as the game just ended and watching the players walk off the field here and seeing if any other chippiness goes down. So far, so good. But, I mean, Tristan Henry, who he was fantastic in this game. He played incredible. He made 2 incredible saves. And he, in true Tristan Henry fashion, and this is why you got to love Henry if you're a Forge fan, made a huge save, and then seconds later got a caution after he got mixed up with a York player. And that's Tristan Henry. He's a character. He brings a lot, and he's one of the leaders of this club, and he stepped up. He gets a clean sheet. We talked earlier about the Stars needing to shine for Forge after going back-to-back games without scoring, and there you have it. Borges, if it holds up, and even if it doesn't end up being credited to Borges, Borges took the shot on target and it created the goal. There was just a deflection there, a fortunate one, but either way, Borges had the final touch. So there was one of your stars, Pacius, another guy that's going to be relied on to score as one of the club's strikers, and he did. And Forge did everything they had set out to do. When things weren't going well, there were several things that Forge had pointed to. One of them was not being as decisive in the final third with their runs. There was a sharpness that was kind of lacking, and they were falling into some traps playing against clubs that were playing ultra defensively, playing with that low block. York, of course, played with those blocks, and Forge made the runs, decisive runs, early runs, and they were just clicking, and we're on the same page. And there were times there where Forge could have had more, and York had their share of opportunities. Henry played great, and you can also see why York has struggled to score and why their expected goals, which I think when we see the final stats, the expected goal ratio to actual goals and expected goals, this discrepancy is going to grow even more so, because there were a couple opportunities here that probably should have at least resulted in really good scoring chances, and that York just could not finish or just missed the target completely from close range. So York kind of showed up as advertised, a club that is struggling to find goals. And Forge getting back to the Forge we saw prior to their 2-game losing skid. All right, here's what we have coming up. Head coach Bobby Smyrniotis. We'll probably hear from one of the players as well. Jessica Lisi makes her return to the Forge Audio Network. She is our CPL analyst, former women's national team player. She's going to join us in seconds as we recap the game even further. Final stats, some housekeeping here. So shots on goal, 14-13. Rather, just shots, shot attempts, 14-13 in favor of Forge. Shots on target, 4-2 in Forge's favor. Possession, 52 for Forge. I mentioned it was a chippy game. There was a combined 29 fouls in this one, 7 total cards, and Forge had 5 offsides. Both clubs had a pair of corners. All right, we now bring in our CPL analyst, Jessica Lisi, former youth national team player, also played Division I NCAA West Virginia, Memphis, and she plays League One Ontario, and now she joins us on the match in review. Welcome, Jess.
Thanks for having me.
So Forge getting back to their winning ways, not a perfect game by any stretch, but obviously it's enough to get the result. First thing I noticed was the club was a lot more decisive in their decision making in that final third, with their runs, with their shots. Um, Maybe just your thoughts and what you saw maybe on that first goal from Borges. Yeah, you got a little lucky, but the decision making was good.
Yeah, definitely. I thought Borges made a fantastic decision to take his space and take a shot. York was backing up, gave him that space. He was at the top of the 18. So definitely a great execution. Yes, lucky with the deflection, but who's to say that it wouldn't have hit the target if the defender wasn't there to knock it in. So I definitely think it was a great decision making on Borges' part.
Yeah, and that decision making. I mean, even on that second goal, it was a tap in for Pacius, but again, the overlaps, the passing, the movement. It was split second decisions that were the perfect decisions in that moment. So yeah, the decision of decisiveness also carried through into that second goal. I thought too.
Yeah, the overlapping run was fantastic. Created a lot of space to be able to get that ball in across to the six, and obviously great tap and goal, very composed finish. Even though sometimes those are the easiest to score, but you'd be surprised. Sometimes those are also the most nerve wracking. So I thought it was a great play overall. Great decision to play it out wide. Great run to make that overlapping run, and then a great cross and finish.
When a player is great at that first touch and being able to score from in close, when that's not going right, when coaches talk about a heavy touch or taking too many touches, maybe just take us into that space mentally. There is it just a lack of confidence? I mean, well, what kind of goes into that?
I mean, sometimes I would say as a forward, we just all have our off games. It's definitely the most frustrating feeling. You're a forward. You should be scoring. You should be creating. So I do think that a lot of times when things don't go your way and you do take a bad touch or you've had consistent opportunities and you miss them, you miss them, you get in your head a little bit, and it is hard to kind of stay on task. So I think overall, the most frustrating thing about the game is when things are not going your way. So definitely as an attacker, that's the worst thing you could go through. But you just got to stay focused, move on to the next task. It can't be something that brings you down because it will carry on into that next opportunity you have. And odds are you'll probably mess it up because you're already in your head.
Yeah, and when we talk about good runs, sometimes that can be confusing. I mean, what really makes a good run versus a not so good run?
Well, it depends on the ball as well. So a lot of times people do straight run, straight ball. That is a horrible decision. Odds that you're going to get that ball is going to be very difficult. The weight of the pass is super important. So that's something that will make or break the opportunity. We often talk about that final third passing, and that's often what is missing. It's not passed at the correct angle. It's not passed with the correct weight. All those break down the final pass, the final shot. So definitely knowing the weight of the pass, and sometimes it's even feeding your player into the correct space as opposed to feet. So everything really plays into it to be able to create that opportunity to finish and win games.
Yeah, and what about I mean, is there chemistry too when you're playing with players you're familiar with? Do those runs become a little easier? The timing of them, anyway.
Definitely, you create chemistry with players you start to build that bond with. Sometimes it's that cheeky little flick over the top or through space. You learn what it is that your player prefers. A lot of players, some players like it into space, some players like it into feet. You begin to learn the strengths of the individuals around you, and you're able to feed off of that, and in turn, it helps to build opportunities and, like I had said before, hopefully win games.
When you look at this match, it's one thing that it's easy to overlook the contributions from Tristan Henry in goal. He got the clean sheet, so I mean he will show up on the stat sheet with the clean sheet. But also he only had to face two shots on target, but they were difficult saves.
Yeah. One of them stands out to me, the last save that he had made in the I believe it was the 91st minute. Fantastic big save. He it was a great chance by York, and an unfortunate, turnout for them, but it was a great stop by Tristan. So that was fantastic. And, it got a little heated afterwards. You could see the passion for sure. But yeah, definitely a big stop. And even though it was the 91st minute, you never know, those extra 4 minutes could have, anything could have happened. So I'm glad he got it done.
We always hear about keepers being unique individuals. He's got a huge personality. He's very vocal, and he's always involved, getting himself involved. Uh, you've played with a lot of keepers. Would you say your experience has been similar, and just keepers being just some really interesting characters?
Yes, I would definitely say so. You know what though? They fuel the fire, and it's good. They bring out a lot of fire in the team. So they're the best. The keepers are the best.
All right, Jess Lisi, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Forge went with a bit of a different look in this one. Instead of the Borges-Choinière winger combo that we've become accustomed to, Forge had Emery Welshman, who's typically a second striker, not really playing the wing that often, but the way Forge plays with a lot of their overlapping runs, Bobby always says you can start in a 4-3-3 and you could end up in anything once the ball's kicked, because it is a fluid type motion that Forge uses. But Welshman and Borges were both out there, and then they start with Campbell in the middle. And both got subbed off, Welshman and Borges. And Costello came out there, Benitez came out. So some different looks. Also on defense with center backs, you didn't have Alex Urciuoli out there. Malik was still out there, but Garvin Metusala playing center back for the first time since getting injured months ago. He did make his return a couple of games ago, but he was playing fullback instead of his usual center back position. So you had Metusala and you had Malik, and those were the major changes there. A lot of subs used in this one by Forge FC. And lineup changes, also just general thoughts on the game. Let's go to the man himself, head coach and technical director for Forge FC, Bobby Smyrniotis.
A couple of different things. First and foremost, I thought our first half was very good. We've seen a tendency as of late with teams sitting a little bit deeper on us, so we wanted to try and find the space in behind the opponent a little bit quicker, and maybe that was either going to open up that space behind or the second ball coming into midfield, which would give us maybe an easier way to attack. And I think we accomplished that in a lot of situations in the first half. And those second balls also gave us the opportunity for some of those longer shots, which it either works to get you a goal or it works to pull the defenders out of position, out of a static position. And that always creates a space. The biggest thing for us is when you move on the ball and you can initiate defender, the ball must go where that defender is left. And today, I think we had them moving a little bit. We used the right side of the field for us a little bit differently today. Just looking at what their combination was there in the first half with Ferrari and Krat, and I think that gave us a lot of success. Started the second half, quite well. And then I think we had a little bit of a down period where if we're a little bit better in some of the transition moments, which we do, were important in the game today. I thought we could have had a few more goals earlier in the game.
Just finally, can you provide us with a bit of a health update? I know no Alex tonight. Just 1 year. How's Dom, Samuel? Just give us a bit of an update on some of those key players for us.
Yeah, with Choinière, just took a little bit of a knock in training, and you always got to be careful. You've got 10 days ahead. Do you really want to push a player back? So he's come into a training session yesterday, back full after being a couple of days off. With Alex, he'll probably be in the next couple of days again. It was just something precautionary. Dom Samuel started full training. Obviously Garvin Metusala has come out here and played 90 minutes after a long time and done a brilliant job, and we just keep ourselves going. We've missed a lot of players in each and every game, but it's opportunity for the guys that are out there. We look at Malik in the back, started playing games in this league as a 19-year-old, just turned 20 this past weekend. And yeah, I don't talk about him enough. It's not that the media, but for me, he's been excellent. He looks like a mature player out there. And, we forget he's probably on pro game number 8. Right now as a player. So I think that's the opportunities that the players are getting, and it's the importance of having depth in the roster. For us, that's the biggest thing, and how we always build a team. We try and have as much depth as possible in the roster, and sometimes in some of these emergency players that we need when we're down 6-7 players injured, and just making sure that we've got the right guys training with us periodically, so that they're able to slide in and look pretty normal to the squad.
Now, if you watched this match on television, you probably heard a healthy contingent of Forge supporters there at York. It really did sound like a Forge home match. You heard the Forge chanting throughout, start to finish. And you know that has to feel good if you're a Forge player. But don't take it from me. Let's go to Woobens Pacius, who spoke post-match after Forge's win.
It's a really good feeling. We know that we have the best fans in the league. That's my opinion. We have the best fans in the league, and we can see it today. We were in the field, and I thought we were at Tim Hortons Field because all the fans were there. So again, I'm really grateful for what they did, and I hope they're gonna keep going like this because we can feel it on the field.
Yeah, and as the game, as time winded down, the rivalry started showing, and it got a little chippy out there. Was that just a case of a club that you're close geographically, and also you've seen these guys so many times already? Is it just kind of tension kind of brewing over the years?
Yeah, of course. It's a derby. York against the Forge, it's always a derby, and the game was pretty tight too. So it's normal that at the end of the game it's get a little bit more heated, but I think it was still fair play. It wasn't dirty or whatever. It's what happened in sports and football when two teams wanna win. So no, I think at the end of the day it's all about respect.
All right, so at the conclusion of Forge's win, they are now in third place of the table with 20 points after 12 matches. They are 4 points out of first, which right now Cavalry and Atletico share. Next match for Forge, it's going to be another long wait for the next one. 11 days in between matches. Next match for Forge is Tuesday, July 19th. It's at home at Tim Hortons Field against FC Edmonton. Until then, keep it locked onto the Forge Audio Network. Remember, just because Forge isn't playing that week doesn't mean we stop. Focus on Forge, Behind the Beard. Plenty of Forge programming on the way for you. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe on YouTube. I'm Anthony Urciuoli. We'll talk to you soon.
This has been Match in Review with Anthony Urciuoli on the Forge Audio Network. For the latest on all things Forge FC, subscribe on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.